All right, guys, before we get started here with our episode of Iron Age Radio, I'm joined here by Thrones and Honey. We want to talk to you a little bit about our great sponsor for this program, the Schramm Cattle Co. The Schramm Cattle Co. is owned by local competitor Mark Schramm and his wife, Sarah. They're out of Cartwright, Manitoba. And let me tell you guys something. They sell the best damn beef this side of anywhere in the world. So what it is, it's $8 a pound. It's as premium as it gets. It's over 90% lean, no water, no other fillers. It is the real deal. If you're interested at all in making an order, Mark Schramm is available. He comes into the city every so often. We're going to have some stored here at the gym, too, if you're interested in that. You can contact him at schrammcattleco@gmail.com or send him a message on Instagram at schrammcattleco. Just for my own little throwing on this, like, they are awesome. The meat is so good. Me and Jan have it all the time. And not only that, you're supporting a local provider of beef in the province. What more could you ask for than that? Jan, how good is it?
So good.
So good. Okay, enjoy the episode, guys.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, episode 18, Iron Age Radio. Honey scratching at the door. I'm joined here by the brains behind the Manitoba Strongman and powerlifting and strength sports in general, Mikal Thrones.
I don't know if I could give myself that much credit.
I would give you that much credit, and I think the GM would agree.
Yep. I do nothing. I just show up.
So Jan's the beauty, I'm the brawn, and then you're the brains. Will you accept that?
Relative allotments, sure.
So we're here post our first, sort of event of the season here. We have our gradient that we kind of do in Manitoba Strongman, where we start off with the charity log lift, then we get into the novice competition, and then we're off to the races when it comes to our normal competitions. And we are done with the charity log lift. You did commentary on it. If anybody didn't see the live stream, I really urge them to go back and check it out and watch your favorite people lift, because it came off really, really well, I think. I think that live stream was a huge success. Yeah,
we made a lot of changes to the live stream format, the new graphics. Now there's a bit more steps. It's kind of communicating between the graphics program and now Google Sheets. There was some technical difficulties with that. It was the first time running a competition using that full setup. So. Right. Still some things to iron out, but I think that's going to be a huge improvement across the whole season.
Yeah, and for anybody who's not aware, we talked about it a few times, but what you see on the streams when it comes to the graphics, when it comes to the scoreboard, all that stuff, that's all done by you. You will accept that at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty single-handedly.
Yes. Yeah. You spend we talk about this a lot when you're not on the thing, but I want to talk about this when you're here now too. Is that you spend a lot of your own free time, because it's not easy what you do with that stuff. I couldn't do it. And you have to have sort of an understanding of the language of of the sheets programs that you use and the software that you use for broadcasting it and stuff. So credit to you for that, because it's a lot of fucking work that you put into it.
There's a lot of the program that I'm using for the graphics. They have tutorials on it, and all their tutorials are 2.5 hours long. And I'm like, okay, I want to figure out how to change this one setting to get it to do what I want.
Right.
And I have to watch the whole tutorial, and maybe they talk about it.
And you might get the information you want.
Because it's just, I'm only basing it off the title.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I want this to communicate with Google Sheets. And then they talk about how to get Google Sheets to do text, but they don't talk about a table at all. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to build a score table.
Right.
I need to be able to take the whole table, a whole array from Google Sheets, but they just talk about how to get this one cell.
So you learned something in those 2.5 hours, but not what you wanted.
No. Usually it comes back and it's useful later.
There you go, exactly.
But it's a whole day to figure out how to use one setting correctly.
That's fucking wild. Well, we do appreciate it, and I know that I think you've been told by people outside of the Manitoba scene and stuff too that the streams are really good, because they're really watchable. This one here we got when we have a charity log event that gets several hundred views, that's great, because that means it's a nice watchable event that people are enjoying. Mm-hmm. Honey, settle down. So I want to get a little bit more into that. We'll talk some more local stuff and Manitoba Strongman and all that stuff in a little bit later here. But I wanted you specifically to be here for this episode today, because there is an interesting topic in sort of the wider world of strongman. although technically neither of them are strongmen anymore. We've seen the newest freak super fight.
YouTuber boxing.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it now. Strongman edition, where apparently they're a couple days away from signing the contract between former World's Strongest Man 2017 Eddie Hall versus the former 5-time World's Strongest Man and actual MMA fighter Mariusz Pudzianowski. Now, I think that people who don't know a whole lot about MMA, and I don't know a lot about MMA. I know just enough to know that this is a horrible idea for Eddie. But I think that people who maybe know even a little less than I do, might look at this and think, well, they're both like really big, strong guys. They're evenly matched, perhaps, in that way. And Eddie's younger, and this, that, and the other thing. And I think that that's probably the case that'll be made when they try to do like tail of the tape type stuff for this.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts when you hear that Eddie Hall is fighting Mariusz Pudzianowski? What's a couple words that jumps into your mind when it comes to that?
I mean, the main thing is it's a freak show fight. Yeah. Like, Eddie Hall's just huge. And additionally, like, I don't think people have been trying to defend Eddie Hall in this matchup, which blows my mind because I don't think any fighting commission outside of like Poland or Japan is going to sanction this fight because of the discrepancy in experience. Mind you, Mariusz has had a few fights that other commissions would not have sanctioned.
Yeah, but we were looking at Pudzianowski. So to be clear here, what we're talking about here, Pudzianowski is not a strongman who's trying MMA. He is a former strongman who is now a mixed martial artist, and that's like his deal now.
Yeah, he's been full-time MMA for 15 years.
15 years, yeah. So we looked at his fight record, and while there are a few strange ones on there that might have been there to pad the record a little bit, like a guy had his pro debut against Pudzianowski, and there was a guy who was
Pudzianowski at the time he would have been 16 and 7.
So that's like a strange one. And there was one where there was a guy who was like 2-0 or something like that, or 2-1 or something like that. So there are strange little like blips in his record, but for the most part, he's beating real fighters.
Yeah, he still has a winning record in KSW. Which,
right.
Like, if
can you actually go into that a little bit? Like, explain KSW to somebody? Like I don't really know a lot about it. I'm just on the peripherals. I'm aware of what KSW is, but
yeah. So KSW, it's the largest MMA promotion in Poland. It definitely has an argument for being the most competitive MMA promotion in continental Europe. Like, there's some UK promotions that the quality of their best fighters is probably on par, but the matchmaking quality is probably better in those UK promotions. Like, they care more about making sure the best guys fight the best guys a little bit more than KSW does. But if you're a winning fighter in KSW, you're good. Like, you're probably looking to as a next step go to like Bellator, or if you're like a KSW champion, you'd probably be looking at the UFC. Like, it is a high level MMA promotion, some sketchy matchmaking,
right,
but on the whole, it's high quality fighters.
I think that a lot of people kind of associate like you said, continental Europe with sketchy matchmaking sometimes.
Yeah.
We see Eastern European stuff, Poland being a good example of that, where you start to see that's where when you see funny clips of guys fighting like 5-on-5 in a ring or whatever, like those are mostly happening in like Eastern European countries.
Yeah, in KSW, they're no strangers to freak show fights.
Right.
But like Pudzianowski, his career is not doing freak show fights. His career is being an actual MMA fighter. And again, he has a winning record in that promotion.
That even if he was like bad, let's say he's a bad fighter, he's been a bad fighter for 15 years. Eddie Hall's been a bad fighter for a couple of years now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like so Eddie Hall had the aberration with Thor, that boxing match. He had a match where he beat up two brothers who I don't know what their experience level was, but it wasn't very high, and they were also
they're kind of their whole strategy was just swarming him. It wasn't a well thought out plan or well executed.
It's funny because that they're brothers, because they fought like a bunch of brothers fighting. Like it was just like attacking and whatever, and they both got knocked out. It was like a very funny sight to see. They were both also it was two guys who were probably each less than half the size of Eddie.
But they were I would say like less than half the size. Like I would guess fighting at 160.
Yeah, probably, and he's 300 and whatever he is right
still
now.
Apparently like 160 kilos. He's at 353.
Yeah, he's still huge, and when we think about Eddie, we think about him as like world record deadlift Eddie, where he was absolutely enormous on his 6'2" frame, but he's still gigantic and probably too big for MMA. So that'll be interesting to see that play out. But so Pudzianowski is a guy too where he is like we talked about like playing devil's advocate a little bit. Like, what are things that people could point to and be like, well, Eddie has him on this. There's very few things. There's his age,
Yeah.
which I think experience trumps that when it comes to the age difference.
I think so too. Like, especially being a heavyweight, like, they just tend to be older fighters. Tend to still perform well. You had Glover Teixeira became the oldest. Mind you, that was light heavyweight, but you know the heavier weight classes.
Sure, it goes up. Yeah.
Yeah, Glover became the heaviest first-time champion in UFC history. You've had Randy Couture was the oldest person to ever win a belt. He had previously won it, hence why he's not the heaviest first time I keep saying heaviest. Oldest.
I got you. Don't worry. I got you.
First-time champion.
Yes.
And yeah, Randy he was still fighting at 46 for the belt.
And he was sort of a miracle man at that point, but like it's an example of how it does happen. And
you would never see that at like lightweight, at welterweight.
Not the pace they move at.
I would be curious to see the oldest person to ever win a belt in each division.
I bet it's a pretty significant drop off as you get to those lighter ones.
Oh yeah, I know that in the featherweights, no one over 35 has ever won a title fight.
Wow. So when we look at, I was kind of interested in this too, and I wish this just kind of popped into my head. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys in strongman or strength sport history in general who've gone into fight sports, because Pudzianowski is probably the most successful, I would say, off the top of my head.
Mateusz Belshak.
Is he fighting?
I know he did a MMA match at least, and I'm pretty sure that he won.
Oh, interesting. There's been a lot of crossover from strongman to professional wrestling. Obviously, we're not considering that like a real fight sport, but there's like there's sort of that middle ground between the three, if you want to call it that. Like Bill Kazmaier did that, Ted Arcidi did that. A lot of guys spent a little bit of time doing pro wrestling, but fighting is sort of its own different animal, and it's an interesting thing where Pudzianowski, he would have been a little older getting involved in MMA, like, considering normal MMA ages.
Yeah, he would have been starting at like 33 years old.
Yeah, and so to get
for pro MMA,
right
after his strongman career, he did combat sports. Like growing up, he was the youngest person in Poland to receive a karate black belt at the time.
Right, and I think that if you look at somebody who is at the level that he was at in strongman, it's really hard to imagine somebody transitioning from literally the best in the world to being really good at something else that's completely different. Mm-hmm. Like there's really not much of it is kind of funny that when Alec Jose was on here, he said that MMA and strongman are similar in that they're these like combinations of all these different modalities that come together to create this one sport. So there is like that parallel to it, but in terms of like the execution of the sport,
the relative impact, or like even like if you're talking physiologically, the relative amount of each physiological variable that you need is vastly different.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
The cardio you need for strongman is not the cardio that you need for MMA.
Okay, so we know that, we don't know. We've heard that there's been some discrepancies about the round lengths. Eddie wants shorter. Pudzianowski wants traditional 5-minute rounds. 5, right?
It was normally 5.
Yeah. So let's say we split the difference. Let's say they get 4-minute rounds.
That is the most recent rumor that I've heard.
4 minutes?
4 minutes, 2 4-minute rounds.
2 4-minute rounds.
Okay, they cut it down to 2 rounds. So just asking for a tie.
Yeah. So the KSW show that they booked this for, I've heard that it's an arena that seats 30,000 people, so it's going to be a fucking gigantic show for this. They're really hoping that if they're going to obviously sell some tickets to this, which I'm pretty confident that they probably will. Mm-hmm. What are those fans going to be treated to in your prediction? What's the finish of this fight? If it goes 2 4-minute rounds, if they book 2 4-minute rounds,
I don't think the fight gets past the first round.
I don't think so.
I would probably put my prediction somewhere around the 2-minute mark, and I think it's going to be Eddie Hall getting TKO'd.
I think a TKO is probably the right call.
Yeah,
on that one
I don't
too.
think he'll be knocked out flat. I think Puds has probably lost some speed and power. And yeah, I think that his technique is going to, even if he's not that fast, Eddie's not fast either.
And that's the thing, is that everything that Pudzianowski doesn't have due to his advanced age, Eddie doesn't have because he's 360 fucking pounds. Yeah. So when we talk about not being that fast, maybe not having like the gas tank that some of the younger guys would have, he's still going to be way ahead of Eddie on those things. Yeah, I think, at least, unless Eddie has an absolutely outstanding training camp.
And Eddie's going to have no idea how to make reads,
right?
How to feint to draw out patterns. So like he's going to be entirely reliant on just catching Pudzianowski with like an overhand to try to put him out cold, and it's going to be so telegraphed. I would be like, he could get lucky. You know, the only way that I see Eddie Hall having a chance is getting a knockout, and people have criticized Pudzianowski's chin. I have never seen Pudzianowski knocked out cold. He has been TKO'd. Quite a few times.
He's fought a lot, yeah.
but I've never seen him like laying flat on his back.
Right. Like looking up at the lights.
Yeah. He usually gets rocked and he does kind of turtle up.
Right.
So, but that isn't what Eddie's going to be trying to do. He's not going to be trying to touch him and look for an opening. He's just going to be throwing hard.
It's also a question too of, let's say that he catches Pudzianowski on the chin and dazes him, doesn't knock him out, but just kind of like rattles him a little bit. Does he know? Can he follow up on that in a way that will beat Pudzianowski's defense on the ground? Like if he gets into like a ground and pound situation with him, is he able to do that in a way that his offense will beat Pudzianowski's defense?
You know, obviously that's going to depend on how out of it Pudzianowski is.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Hall's definitely heavy enough that if he just gets on top and Pudzianowski is out of it enough.
Can you imagine that? 360 pounds and you just punching you from the mount position or whatever? Like that would be insane.
I think it'd be craziest if he did rock Pudzianowski, tried to get on top of him, and Pudzianowski just threw up a triangle.
That's kind of what I wonder though, is that if he's gonna get like too hasty in a situation like that where he's like, oh my god, yes, and then all of a sudden he's in a fucking triangle or an armbar or something and didn't see that coming, you know?
I think the most likely situation, again, because I've never seen Pudzianowski out cold. I'm not saying it's never happened. I haven't watched every single one of his fights, but I've never seen it happen. And I think the most likely situation, even if Eddie does connect solid, is he's going to try to rush in for a finish. He's going to get too close, and Pudzianowski is not a wrestler, but he is going to know that he is a better wrestler than Eddie Hall, and so he can just clinch up and just work for some recovery time.
Yeah.
So as long as he doesn't, like I said, he kind of has this tendency once he gets rocked, he kind of shells up and the fight gets called because he's not trying to advance position or get out of danger. Mm-hmm. So as long as he doesn't fall into that tendency, as long as he tries to clinch or recover, wrestle Eddie in any way, I don't think Eddie's going to have a response for it. And I think Puds can, he can get his senses back and then continue fighting.
Yeah.
And again, will Eddie Hall get lucky twice like that? Tough to say, but I don't think so. I think I don't think it's going to happen once.
No, I don't think so either. I think this is
it's going to be too telegraphed.
Fantasy land a little bit. Yeah. Did you see that video that was floating around recently of the hockey player who threw the Superman punch?
No.
He left his feet and jumped and threw like a Superman punch, and the picture of it is fucking awesome. But he didn't connect because it was because you just made me think of that because it was so telegraphed. And the guy was just like, whoa, and just moved his head out of the way. But it looked really cool in that photo, but it looked significantly less cool in the video.
It probably felt really cool too.
Yeah, at the moment.
Hockey fights are. I do think fighting is cool in hockey.
It's the coolest thing. I sit and watch hockey fights at night by myself, on YouTube a lot. But I have to stop because it kind of gets my heart rate up a little bit when I'm watching. But
it does when you two guys are throwing it, but they're holding each other at arm's length and nobody can really connect.
Yeah,
that's 80% of them. You get that 1 out of 5 hockey fights that is just so fun and and guys they're not bothering to hold each other. They want you in close because they want to be able to hit you. And they're both pulling each other in and just hammering away at each other.
Yeah.
And then you get ones like Alex Ovechkin versus I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. He's on the Carolina Hurricanes. He was a first round pick, very good goal scorer, also Russian. He was the first one to get a Michigan.
Kovalchuk?
No, this is way after Kovalchuk.
Thrones knows everything about him but his name.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure he was drafted in 2019. And he was the first player in the NHL to score a lacrosse-style goal, also called a Michigan.
Well, if you know his name, put it in the comments.
And his favorite color is purple, probably.
But so he was bugging Ovechkin. This was in the playoffs. Bugging Ovechkin, the second game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals. Bugging him the entire game. And then Ovechkin, fine. Right at the end of the game, it was 6-7 minutes left. It's okay, fine. This game's already wrapped up. Let's do this. So they drop the gloves. Ovechkin, they grab each other, and Ovechkin just launches, hits him twice. First one kind of sets him up, and then on the second one, pulls him in, throws the overhand, out cold. You cannot throw hard on skates.
Yeah, it's hard.
They're they've done studies on it to make arguments for fighting in hockey, like whether it's like really that damaging to players and stuff.
Right.
You only throw with about 60 to 65% of the force that you throw on dry land, and Ovechkin still knocked him out clean.
That's crazy.
Ovechkin's such a freak.
Did you ever? This would have been
Svechnikov.
Svechnikov.
Andrei
There we go.
Svechnikov.
There it
That's
is.
his name.
I knew you were going to get it eventually, so I wanted to like kind of lay back a little bit and let you get it. When this would have been probably like 20 years ago now, more than that probably. They had a pay-per-view where it was all the enforcers from the NHL fighting on ice. Like
Oh,
it was like
really?
it was like booked as like a fight card, and there was all hockey fights, and it was all like the enforcers of like 5 or 6 or 8 years earlier. And I don't think it did super well. I don't think it was super exciting to watch because it's kind of like the fun part of the fight is that it's the break in this incredibly fast-paced, athletic, sport that's like moves at a fast pace in any other sport there is, and then they just just have a brawl in the middle of it where it just completely changes the pace. But when it's just that over and over and over again, I don't think it did super well. But
I've never heard about that.
I don't know. I'll try to find it and I'll see if I can find.
That was
some
like booked with
information.
like an MMA promotion.
No. This would have been like
Or like the NHL put this on.
it definitely wasn't the NHL, but it was put on like, hey, settle down. It was put on it was one of the NHL enforcers of that time was like signed to be like the face of this thing, and then they booked a bunch of guys from varying levels of success in the NHL, but they were all like enforcers who all fought. And I'll have to find this. I'll find more information about it. But it was really interesting.
Absolutely.
It was probably in like either like right around the new millennium, probably like either between 99 and 2001. I can't remember exactly when I saw it, but I saw the ads for it and stuff. But we'll try to find them. We'll try to watch it sometime.
Yeah.
We'll review it.
All right. I think should we move on from we've gone on quite a tangent of like sport fighting.
Do you have one more thing you want to talk about with it?
No,
I thought you had something. That's why.
actually, like I was gonna bring up like the Jose Canseco fighting in Pride and
Yeah.
stuff. We're getting pretty far removed from
from Strongman. Well, this is I see, but I do like the freak show aspect of I like the freak show aspect of MMA's past. I don't really think that it's as exciting anymore because it's kind of all been done and all been seen.
Yeah.
But I do love old UFC. I do love old Pride. I do like every so often you see those funny ones from like Fight Circus or whatever where you're like, what the fuck is this nonsense? Those go a little too far for my taste. But I do like the old Pride ones where you would see like Ninawa Man versus Giant Silva or whatever. Like those things were always interesting to me.
the Minimum Man, like he could only win when he was fighting a freak show fight.
Yeah, exactly.
And like not because the person he was fighting was like a bad fighter that they brought in who's like, oh, look at big guy. It was like he entered the heavyweight Grand Prix
Yes.
while fighting at like walking around at like 180 pounds.
Yeah.
And he went to the finals, I
Yeah,
think.
he did, yeah.
Yeah.
That's if you're again, this is not about Strongman anymore, but if you're not familiar with Minowa Man, I really urge you to search him up and like watch the stories about him. I think that Napoleon Blown Apart has a really good YouTube video about him.
It's part of his Pride.
Right.
One, we can find the timestamp.
Because it is.
I would
it
be
is-
willing to watch through that and find the timestamp where he starts talking about Minimum Man because that is the best section of that entire. It's like a 3-part. Each part is like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But that like his section on Minimum Man
It's
is
extremely touching and just like very powerful stuff when you watch this shit. Like it's just like it's really really good. We'll put that in the comment section. We'll post it down there. To take a super hard left turn and go to local Manitoba Strongman.
Yes. The next highest quality of sport.
Yeah.
We got Pride, KSW, NHL. Right underneath
NHL Fight League and then MMA. Yeah. Right, Manitoba Strongman. So we are here to announce another event for Manitoba's Strongest Man and Woman. So far, just to recap a little bit, we have the Big Jerk, the max overhead barbell press off of blocks. Really excited for that one. I've already seen some guys kind of starting to think about how they want to do that one, and it's been fun to see. We have, again, this is in no particular order, just what we've announced so far, a max farmer's carry. I've never seen it done, so that's an exciting one.
That show after your first time doing CSM. That
They did one there. That's true. And Wes got like a really crazy number the day. It was like 460 or something the day after CSM.
I'm pretty sure it's 220 kilos.
Yeah.
485.
Disgusting. The day after a 3-day competition.
Yeah.
Absurd. And the keg toss. We have the keg run. Somebody was it you who told me a couple people had asked you whether it was a max toss?
Yeah, I've had a couple people assume. They didn't ask me. They just
it's not that.
were under the assumption.
Yes, it's a max sandbag throw at Tolstoy, but it'll be a run of kegs at Manitoba Strongest in Vita. So the fourth event that we will be competing in at Manitoba Strongest Man and Woman, June 27th in Vita. Is that correct? 29th, 27th?
June, I don't know.
Whatever the Sunday is, we'll figure that one out exactly.
29th.
29th. Thank you. I keep missing that one for some reason.
Don't say thank you yet. I think it's the 29th.
Jan's looking right now on her phone. That's why we're just going to kind of kill this moment here.
June 29th.
June 29th in Vita as a part of the Canada Day celebration there. We will be doing yet another event that Manitoba Strongman has never seen as far as I know. We've done variations of, but never specifically this. It will be a squat for reps. We're going to have two options, so there'll be a lighter and a heavier option. Any amount of heavy beats any amount of the light. It will be done strongman style, which means touching to boxes on either side. And I'm really, really excited to see. We've always had a deadlift. That's something that, and that's my own kind of bias, is that I just love deadlifting. So I always want to see like a big heavy deadlifting competition. But I'm really, really excited to see what a different kind of strength quality these guys bring to the table with a totally different lift like this. That's still a lower body dominant one like that, though.
Yeah, I love seeing strongman squats.
Me too.
One question for you: doing it with an axle or a regular bar?
Axle. Yep.
Axle.
Good question, and that's the answer. It'll be an axle. It's gonna be for real strongman squats. Probably with the wagon wheels too. Just so
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's just a real spectacle.
Oh, just so it looks really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we see them a lot in Eastern competitions, but we haven't seen them that much in the West. It's been quite a while since there's been Western Canada's Strongest Man will have one. So if you're training for one, you're training for the other. That's kind of a nice little bonus for that. But I'm really, really excited for this. We got guys like Langelar, who's obviously I would call him the top squatter in Manitoba Strongman right now.
Jocelyn's I'm sure she's posted it, and it's got to be insane regardless. I don't know exactly off the top of my head what she squats in sleeves or versus wraps. Actually, wraps, yay or nay?
We will allow wraps, but we're going to be really strict with time on these.
Oh, okay.
We're going to allow wraps for this one, but it's going to be we're going to be doing like a powerlifting like bars loaded style thing, and if you're not ready, that's tough luck, because we're just not going to be. And
the bar's not changing, so the bar will be ready for everyone.
Yes, and but we do have height changes to make for people and stuff, right? So everything there's between that, the Max Farmers, the Max Big Jerk, which also has height changes for that one too. We're going to need to be moving this at a pretty smooth pace the whole time, so we're going to ask our athletes to really be on the ball with that one. And what do you wraps, yes or no?
I kind of like the idea of wraps.
I lean towards them too.
It means that you can do more, and I mean that's the spectacle, right?
Okay, you're here from Thrones, and we're doing with reps.
And they allow
Personally-
wraps in the Eastern competitions
That's true.
too.
They're allowed at the higher level of competition, so we might as well get guys used to the idea of using them now. So
I'm also saying I like wraps for competition. I would hate to have to learn how to use wraps again. I use wraps for a total of 6 weeks.
very short period, yeah.
And they are terrible.
They're a
They're
real pain in
terrible
the
to get
ass.
used to. You when you're not used to them after the first few weeks, your knees just swell up and they become more painful to use. So then you got to take a break from them and gradually work up to using them consistently. The wraps are not just an
Simple,
easy
pop them on, your weight goes up type deal.
Yeah.
No, they require. They're much like suits, where they require their own training, their own approach to training, their own frequencies and volumes that are different than.
You also need help.
You need help. This is something too that the strongman community. If you're somebody who trains on their own and you need a hand with your wrapping and stuff, get in touch with somebody. I know that Garrett has said that if you live in Brandon or in the area, he's happy to help people with their stuff. The Forge people have said if anybody's doing these events, feel free to pop in there and get a hand with stuff. Just get a set of helping hands on things, just loading and unloading things. Sometimes that goes a long way, especially when you're doing stuff with wraps. I know when we were doing it, when I was preparing for CSM, preparing for my big zero that I took at CSM with it, it would have been really, really difficult to just do that by myself.
Yeah, and if you're self wrapping, I mean, maybe a blessing in disguise, because you're gonna get a lot of grip training in.
Yeah, you certainly are.
Your farmers will be solid after that.
It's crazy how first of all, blown up you can get after doing it. Like you just get like sweating and like tired and stuff, and then your forearms are just pumped afterwards.
Yeah, if people want some advice from, well, not advice from me, advice that I got from actual wrapped lifters who know what they're doing. If you don't have wraps, if you're ordering some, or if you already have some, order some more, because like just order extras. Keep them like pre-tensioned.
Yeah.
Wrap them up really, really tight.
Yeah.
And then either tuck them in themselves or tie them off in some way so that you can just throw them in your gym bag and they're already stretched. Then when you put them on your knee, you're just gonna lay them down already stretched.
Right.
And that's gonna save your forearms a lot of work having to re-roll the wrap between every single set.
Mm-hmm. There you go. That's some very sound advice from the Thrones man himself. So that's what we're looking forward to, is a yet another debut of an event at Manitoba's Strongest Man and Woman. And we got a little bit into the people that we can look forward to for this one.
Yeah.
You want to talk about so a guy like Langlar, who's already got a great squad. Jocelyn already got a great squad. Mm-hmm. Anna, very good squatter. These are all people who are strong squatters. We talked about this a little bit before, but who's somebody that you might pick that people might not think about right away as a great squatter on the men's side?
Pat.
Pat. Yes. We watched Pat at that WRPF meet, and he doesn't realize how good he is at squatting either, because his third attempt was like barely more than an opener, it looked like.
No, I forget the exact jumps that he took, but it was something like 585, and then he took like a 12 and a half, no, more than that, probably like a 15 kilo jump, and then another 15 kilo jump. Anyway, he started at 485, ended at like 557, I think it was, and like didn't even start slowing down.
Yeah,
like it looked like he could have loaded up 300 kilos.
Yeah, so he's a guy where I don't have much contact with Pat, to be honest with you. I see him during the kind of the strongman season. I haven't heard much from him, so hopefully he's been doing his training, and I really hope that this season is something that he's thinking about, because this is a good competition for him.
Besides the farmers, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a good thrower, despite his leverages. He's a good thrower. He's got long arms though for his height.
I think he's about average.
Is it? Okay, maybe I'm just imagining him as more of an ape than he actually is. But he's a good squatter. We know that, and I think that was relatively new to the idea of like heavy squatting at that point too.
Yeah.
And I really think that he could put up a good number on the overhead too.
Yeah, I think another interesting thing with rep events, like the amount of energy it takes you to perform a rep is largely. So one obviously is the weight on the bar, but the other major factor is how far the bar has to move per rep. So like that's why sometimes with rep events, it's going to be a disadvantage to be a taller lifter. Like Andrew is going to have far and away the biggest squat out of anyone competing there.
Like the lengthwise, like the biggest squat.
I just mean number.
Total weight. Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
So like, but is his squat going to take more energy?
Right.
Versus like a guy like Pat, who is close enough on like top end strength, but doesn't have to move the bar nearly as far on every rep.
That's true.
I know it sounds like I'm setting up a short joke.
No, and that's what I was going to say.
I'm being honest.
We do give Pat. We like to tease Pat a little bit about his height, but you talk about a guy who's like, this competition is really gearing up to be a really good one for him due to his height. And please don't pull the cords. There, thank you, Dolly, honey. Like you say that like that energy that you expend when you're like a really tall person, like you can be very, very good at squatting, but it really compounds with every rep too. Like how hard that rep gets with that extra bit of height or that extra distance that has to travel. So yeah, a guy like Langlar, who's a fantastic squatter, if we're talking about having to get into 8 reps or something that or let's say it gets that high, like to double digits even. If you talk about purely in terms of like the distance of the bar travel, we're talking like extra reps at that point for him, compared to a guy like Pat or Dan even too. Dan's got great leverages to be a good squatter.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see what he can put together for that one too. And you want to talk about reps too, is that Dan is like a very good like gutting out extra reps kind of guy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a really exciting one. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Well, also one thing, speaking on the for reps thing, I think particularly on a 4 reps event, wraps, they're going to suck more.
Yes. Oh, yes.
With each rep, they're going to dig in a little bit more.
Yep.
They're going to kind of settle and figure out like how tight they can get.
Yeah.
But also, your muscles are going to fatigue while you're going. The wraps are not going to fatigue.
Right.
There is a amount of force that you're going to get out of those wraps, and as long as your technique stays consistent, that force isn't going to change from rep to rep. So they're going to be equally as assistive on the first rep as they are on your last rep.
as long as you can keep up with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is hard. Like the wraps are trying to force you out of position. That's why they help. But
So somebody
anyway.
also too that I think would be on the women's side that could be a real devastator in this one would be Ariel.
Yeah, I think she's going to hit some crazy numbers on
Yeah,
this.
she's very statically strong and
Built to be a squatter.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just she's yeah, I think she'll do really well on that one. There's a few ladies that are actually our ladies side is like the women are generally pretty good squatters that we have. A lot of them come from like CrossFit backgrounds, powerlifting backgrounds, things like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. The guys, a lot of them come from strongman backgrounds where there's like less squatting going on. So it's gonna be a little bit of catch up on some guys' part. Like I'm not competing this year in Manitoba Strongest Man, unfortunately, but I would have a lot of work to do to catch up with some of these guys in my squat. My squat's not up to snuff with even provincially some of these guys.
Yeah, I think Jeremy too, another guy to watch for on the men's side. Like, I know he has been working on his squat for a long time because he feels that it's a weakness.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like part of that's just he doesn't know exactly how strong his squat is.
Yes. I agree.
Feeling the weight before the lift, I think kind of throws him off a little bit. But like,
that's
it's
my
not
experience. That's what fucks with me.
Yeah.
Just walking out and be like, God damn, this is heavy. And then I squat. I'm like, oh, it actually wasn't that bad. But you get that first like shakiness of being like, this feels like 1,000,000 pounds on my back. You know?
Yeah, but you watch every time that Jeremy squats and like every rep looks so easy.
Yeah, even as he gets heavier, the speed doesn't go much slower. I think I think his top end is much higher than he's reached so far. So.
Yeah, and I think his squat has kind of like taken off since he started using the velocity tracker.
Yeah,
because now he's seeing that his speed is high.
Yeah,
so like, oh, guess I go heavier.
Pushes a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely. So we're very much looking forward to that event. Any more to add for the Manitoba Strongest Man stuff? Man and woman?
Oh, I wanted to add for Anna because she is obviously the only weight class competitor that for the most part we've mentioned for the squat for the ladies. For reps event too, like she could be a dark horse. I know like the being heavier in a squat is much more advantageous than being heavier in a deadlift.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
So
just the pressures that you apply. Like that your stomach pushing against your thighs, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, your whole body's trying to get you straightened out again. But like I've watched Anna do some insane feats of endurance and just like repetition strength. I have watched her do 30% of her one rep max. This is on a leg press. 30% of her 1 rep max with a blood flow restriction cuff on for 160 reps.
Jesus Christ.
I wasn't expecting that high of a number. That was
Just be there all day.
like 10 reps. I would have been like, okay.
It was like a 6.5 minute long set.
That's
like
insane.
You're not allowed to rest at the top or the bottom. You have to keep the foot pedal in continuous motion, and she had to stop because it was aggravating her back.
That's crazy.
She didn't even reach fatigue yet.
Oh my God.
So, Anna's a bit of a monster in that way.
She makes no sense.
We'll and I'll give you a little not you already know. I'll give the viewers a little hint into our next week's reveal of the last event for Manitoba Strongest Man. That kind of grit and that kind of attitude, it's going to be a big help. We're bringing back a little bit of a throwback event to some of the earlier Manitoba Strongman stuff, and the word death is included in it. So look forward to that. So the last thing that sorry, please.
No, I was just saying. All right, like we're moving on.
Yeah,
sorry,
moving on.
Talking over you.
This fucking guy over here just takes over the show the moment he sits down here. So we touched on it a little bit earlier, but we had an extremely successful, both in terms of the lifting and money raised charity event for the North End Women's Center that we held here on Saturday. It's our annual charity log lift. We raised $2,100. And I think that about 900 of that was raised the day of the competition.
Yeah, I mean, you announced mid competition. It was 14 something.
Yeah.
At the time, and yeah,
it had the effect that I hoped that it would have, which would kind of spur people on to kind of donate a little more before they left. But boy, I wasn't expecting that much. So thank you so much to all the spectators that came and watched. Thank you so much that donated. Thank you so much to the athletes, like the Grimolfsons, the Clarks out from Winkler Way. Like we had people who donated significantly more than what was asked of them, and we really do appreciate that. I shouldn't even say any names because there was more than that, but I really do. I just want to thank people that I think off the top of my head. We got to have the joy that I get once a year where I go down to the North End Women's Center with a giant stack of money and just like kind of confuse everybody in there for a little while. It's like what exactly is going on and why I'm coming to them with this big thing of money. But they're so thankful and they're so appreciative. I spat there. Sorry. And it's just like, I think that if I went in there with $100, that would go a long way for all the things that they have to purchase, the things that they have to do. So to go in with 2,100 was a very big deal to them, and they were just really happy about it. Jan?
It was really funny too because we showed up and we said we wanted to drop off a donation. So usually they get supplies, right?
Yep.
Like, or clothes or whatever. So this girl pulls out a bin and she goes, "Oh, okay, I'll take it." And then we go, "Oh, we have cash."
I was like,
And then
"Here."
Tyler pulls out like a bag,
A plastic bag of money.
a plastic bag of cash. And she's like, "Okay."
Yeah, she's like, I have to go get somebody for this. And she had to get the boss to come and take the money. But they were it's a really nice experience to go down there and just see people who appreciate it so much. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to Gian for all of the work that she did putting it together. Thank you to Thrones for the streaming and the excellent work to make it a visible thing to everybody. And thank you to all the athletes who lifted, because you guys all did great work. And I do want to get a little bit into the actual lifting.
Well, first, I just want to say before we do, just a reminder for all of our charity events, all proceeds go directly to the MPA. I mean, the charity that we're raising money for. Thrones, I couldn't have said it better myself. But we saw some really awesome lifting too. I really stress to people that, like, when we do these charity events or these exhibitions, we call them, really, because it's not competitions. There's no real competing going on or anything, but it's just an opportunity to come and hang out with your friends, see people that you don't see very often, see people that we haven't seen for a lot of the off season perhaps, and put up some numbers. So I want to. We're gonna talk about all the people who set records and who had awesome lifts and stuff. But I also really want to thank the people who just showed up and just hit a number. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't like say Gord. He came in. Gordon Jocelyn competed at the goddamn Arnold's a week before. 6 days.
6 days before, and they still came down and they still got a lift in. And neither of them hit like a PR. I believe that Jocelyn did hit a new Masters number.
It was for like 3 minutes. It was a new open provincial record.
That's
too.
right, yeah. So she still did an awesome job. So I don't mean to be like whatever, but it really just means a lot to me that they came in and they were like, yeah, we'll put something up. I don't need to be peaked. I don't need to be deloaded. I don't need to have put too much thought or effort into it. I'm just doing something that's positive for our community and for Winnipeg as a whole. So I want to take a moment just to thank those people, because that really means a lot to me when I hear from a lot of people. When I ask them why they're not doing it, and they say, "Oh, I didn't deload for it. I'm not properly prepped for it." I'm like, "You're kind of missing the
charity,
point of this.
motherfucker.
Kind of missing the point of this." But anyway, to get on to the good stuff, the other good stuff, we saw some real awesome lifting going on. So,
Do you want to go flight by flight?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, in the first flight, the first flight was all of our female competitors. Tons of new lifters. I think it was Janine Vergara. Mm-hmm. She was a CrossFitter. Yep. Came over. Yep. Split jerking the log. I don't even know if she's ever touched a log before.
She's done it one time before when we did that Selkirk thing. The drop in, to try the implements. That's the only time she's done it before.
Yeah, and just effortlessly transitioning a split jerk from barbell to log, which is not an easy task.
I think that people think that it's like once you have a split jerk, you can just do that with a log, but it's really not the case. Like, it's way different.
No, you tend to see, like, even among the best, like, you look at Inez, who has a great split jerk with a barbell. Mm-hmm. Her split is super high with a log, because you just can't have that back leg so far back and still keep the log. The log wants to be out in front of you because it's large. It's sticking out in front of you when it's on your chest too. So, like, most people can't split as long with the log as they can with a barbell, and so it's not a 1-for-1 transfer.
No, it's just not.
But she did, like, those were some of the cleanest splits with the log I think I've ever seen.
And then Amanda, who was her friend that was there, they're both doing the novice competition. I'm very excited to have them become a part of the scene, hopefully a little more permanently. But
they'd be interesting to see in the big jerk.
Absolutely,
Manitoba's strongest woman.
Yeah, I hope so. Amanda was like basically strict pressing the same weight. Like, she's like a bigger lady, but she was really there's a lot of strength to be found there, I think. And we saw a couple new records being set.
Yeah, so we did mention Jocelyn Grimelson set a new, at the time, open and a new Masters 40-plus provincial record. And then that was with, I gotta double check the weight, 175. Mm-hmm. So, and even at the Arnold, she hit 168.
Yep.
So, like, she beat her number from 6 days ago after, like, the full week, or I guess, the full day of competition.
Did she do 178 at the Arnold's?
No, I'm pretty sure it was 168.
Oh, okay. I must have that wrong. But that's
Maybe I'd have to double check that because then you have to change the.
I mean, either way, like that's 2 very successful log lift days in the span of 6 days.
Yeah.
So she's I mean, I've talked about it before on here, and I said it to her face last time I saw her, that Jocelyn is secretly becoming one of the best strong man or woman athletes to come out of the province ever.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about her standings at a world level at 2 different world events now, there's very few people who can put their numbers against that. Yep. You know, like like for my money, the best guy to do it is Dom. I guess Tom McGee, technically, he's from Winnipeg, but he's not really, you don't think of him as a Manitoba guy. But Dom is a guy who, he did a lot of really, really insane lifts and put up a lot of insane numbers and made a lot of progression when it was like, the sport was so new and there was less opportunities for guys to do stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, and Brent Ham, too, who went to the 105 Worlds and stuff like that. These guys had just done amazing stuff. But Jocelyn's now gone to 2 world competitions and placed in the, not only in the top
6.
10, but top 6 in 2 of them. Like, it's really amazing. Oh, God damn, you doing that in these shows. I keep burping into the mic. I just get so excited. But it's really awesome to see, and we are, and the amazing part is that despite her being a Masters competitor, she doesn't seem to have hit like her peak yet. Like she's not like she just
her
keeps,
and Gord.
Yeah, and Gord too. Yeah, we Jocelyn's husband.
I was gonna say, you mean Jocelyn's husband?
They're both in their Masters careers, like constantly, like linearly improving. Like it's really awesome to see. Shout out to their coach Devin for doing a great job with them, and for them putting in the work and listening. It's really awesome to see.
Yeah, and to wrap up the talk on Flight 1, I also got to mention Anna hitting the heaviest log of any of the women of the day. Yeah, she hit her opener. She went to match her PR on her second attempt. She wasn't training log.
No, she hadn't done
before. I don't remember the last time she touched a log. I know she came in here. It was probably November-ish. And just did like 1 session on the log, and that was when she hit 190.
Yes.
She also didn't train before that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so attempted to match it. She wanted to hit 200.
Yeah. There's something to be said for just like she's just getting stronger in all other facets. Like her overhead is improving through her Olympic lifting and stuff. And while we obviously want the specificity of working with a log maybe a little more often to get like consistent with it, she's just getting stronger and she's just getting better. And so when she goes away from the strongman stuff and then when she comes back, she's just better at it. Yeah, her first attempt she hit 190.
180.
180, excuse me, 180.
Which was a new provincial record.
Yep.
On an opener.
Yep, and that was awesome. And
for U82 and open, because she did weigh in under U82.
There you go. So she missed her next 2 lifts, but I mean, when you get a record on the first one, it's like, how can you really shit on that? And then she proceeded to leave here and go to a different training session that she had for her Olympic lifting.
She snatched more than she pressed here.
Yeah. So she is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, where she had every reason to be like, I can't make it down. And in fact, she told me that earlier, that she probably wouldn't be able to make it. And then she was like, maybe if I do all 3 lifts, like right in the beginning, right away. And I was like, sure, we can do that. And then she was like, I should have time just to make it, whatever, blah, blah. So respect to her for making it happen and for also just having a great lift. So that we love seeing Anna progress like that. And she's looking more and more jacked every time that I see her.
Oh, she's going to hate that.
Yeah, I know. She's strong.
All right, so getting into flight 2. So this was our men's flights were a bit of a mix and match because we, no offense to some of the categories, we tried to put the categories that had generally stronger pressers all together. So it might seem weird on paper, but this was our U80, U90, our U120, and our Masters 50 plus categories.
And you start to notice trends that the 105 guys, despite being in the lighter weight class, it tends to be a more competitive division, and the numbers get driven up a little higher because of that, I think, than the 120. The 120 are guys typically that like they straddle that line where they could maybe do open, but the weights are kind of not quite there for them. So the 120 is kind of like a good fallback in the meantime until they kind of get ready. Whereas the 105 guys are usually like, this is where I want to compete. This is where I'm good, and this is where I'm strong. Yeah. So we tend to see a little bit of a drop off sometimes with the 120 guys, although we don't give them that in their weights. No, so they gotta get stronger.
It's also a category that doesn't have OSG. Like OSG goes 105 to open. So like if you're really looking to get to that next level, then you got to pick.
The Arnold has it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I mean it's never a bad idea to have more opportunities for people to compete, but it's a little bit of a redundant class in that way. But if OSG doesn't do it,
Yeah.
where it's like that's the world stage. In the Arnold is another world class show. But if we're talking about like about the hierarchy right now, like everyone knows that OSG is kind of the top one. And if you can't compete there at your weight class, you have to question as to whether or not it's worth going all the way to nationals in that weight class to then not be able to take that next step if you win.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about this category, we had a lot of first-time competitors.
Yes.
In this one. Jeff Hampson, Nick Filipchuk.
Nick Phillips actually goes to this gym. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He comes here at like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, I seen he like put Iron Age as his like affiliated gym.
Yeah.
On his entry form, and I was like, I don't know if he mistook like that the competition's happening at Iron Age.
Yeah, no, he comes here at weird times.
Aaron Clark, I think, did the log comp last year.
He did the novice competition in Winkler. And he was one of the ones where they gave a very generous donation for his registration. So shout out to Aaron Clark, because that was awesome.
And then Cam from here, and then Rob Snow. I think it was his first actual strongman competition.
Yes,
he did the grip competition.
Yep.
So tons of first timers. Naturally with the first timers, like I said, this was kind of our lighter session. But like looked like they were just having fun.
Yeah,
in these categories,
yeah.
Like we had some big PRs. We had some lifters who realized that competition training on the competition equipment matters a lot.
Yeah.
Not meaning to like call him out or anything, and obviously he knew this, but like finally got some first-hand experience with it. But Cam, I know it really threw him off.
The 12-inch log compared to the 10.
Yeah.
So we've so our gym has we got both of our logs from McDowell's, where he had a 10-inch silver log that was made for him by a buddy. Great log. It's been around for 20 years now, probably. And then there's the big dog log. So it's just 245 empty. So a lot of people, that jump is very intimidating, not just because of the weight, the 245, but because you're also jumping 2 inches in log diameter. So a lot of guys, they'll have to do their heavy set maybe if we're doing like a top set and a back down kind of deal. They'll do their heavy set on the 12-inch big dog log, and then their back down sets will be on a 10-inch silver log, which will be fixed thanks to our friends at Resolute as soon as we get those logs in. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I think that'll kind of like in a way it might take away some of the specialness of hitting the big dog log, because I think that more guys are going to do it. I think that once you can train with that 10-inch log and you can hit 230, 235, whatever, and then that leap to the big dog log, the only change is that it's a little bit heavier. I think that'll be a lot easier for guys.
Yeah. Our big dog log list will get much longer.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, we'll have Lucas Hatton and Martin and everybody else.
Yeah. So two notable performances that I wanted to touch on in this fight too. One, gotta shout him out. Martin hitting the big dog log for the first time.
Yeah. That was one of my 2 lifts of the day, I think. That one.
Yeah, I think
that was the best day of my life.
Yeah. For that reason, the crowd reaction was just like fucking awesome for it, because everyone knows Martin, everyone likes Martin.
In case anyone from outside of Manitoba is watching this and hasn't met Martin, then like there was, if you were to rank the 3 loudest cheers that we got that entire day, it was Martin's third attempt, number 1, Martin's second attempt, number 2, and Martin's opener, number 3.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He's a guy where I like that the just his general positivity and everybody liking him and stuff. It's starting to like expand outside of Manitoba, where like the Western guys know about him now too at the Western pros. Mm-hmm. The guys who were in Iceland know him now. Like he's like friends with like Evans Nana. Like he hung out with him at like OSG. Josh Spurgeon is like really likes Martin and stuff. Like it's just like it's cool to see these guys where it's from the newest people in Manitoba to the guys who are at the highest level of the sport.
Literally world's competitors.
Yeah, everyone loves Martin. So
to know Martin is to love Martin.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great way to put it. We and it was a big moment for him to hit that log, and like I said, it's like. So like one of my other lifts was one of the guys in the later flight here, lifts of the day, but not everyone knows that other lifter. Not everyone's familiar with him, but everybody in Strongman knows Martin.
Yeah,
and everybody in the Strongman adjacent sports knows Martin because he's just part of everything. So shout out Martin for a really great lift. We really enjoyed that one.
We love you, Martin.
Yeah, and then in flight 2, I guess we'll talk about the main performance when we get to flight 3, but Ladanian jumping from 245 to an accidental 290.
290. Yep.
Called for 270. Didn't quite get it. Like just narrowly missed it.
Yeah, really close.
Was leaning back. He lost his balance a little bit. Had to drop the log. Then we find out it was actually loaded to 290.
We have fantastic volunteers who were working their asses off, and it was just I think that might have been the only misload of the day. So
As far as we caught anyway.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, the I mean, if anyone didn't see the big dog log, the plates are completely covered by the actual like sleeve of the log. So
That's the best part about it. So you could be lifting and training, and no one knows exactly what you're doing.
yeah. So, but it also means that the referees and the audience cannot see if it's loaded correctly.
Actually, Baz saw it. He was like, "I thought that it was misloaded, but I just didn't want to say anything." I was like,
Oh.
thanks, Baz." but
He didn't want to step on anyone's toes.
Yeah, the name very nearly got that 290. It was right there.
Yeah.
But then we gave him another shot with that one. He didn't get us
At the 270, not another shot at 290.
at the correct 270, and he was still kind of zapped from the time before. So I said, "Listen, take a break. On the third flight, when we get back up to that weight again, you can just try it again, and we'll get to that when we start talking about flight 3."
Yeah. Okay. So.
But also, in flight 2, we had a new Masters 50 plus record set.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Rob Snow
Nope, Adam Z.
and Adam Z. They would have both. No, Adam Zukowski at the weight class.
Oh, right.
150. He weighed in U80.
Yep.
And then Rob Snow with a new open at 190 pounds.
Sick.
Right. Where am I? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yep. Okay, you're right. My bad. Yep. So we have 2 new Masters records. So, which I love to see that because we have for anybody who doesn't know this, who's in Manitoba or abroad, all the Manitoba records are in a Google sheet in the link tree in the Strong Manitoba Instagram bio.
They're not 100%. We're doing our best to keep them updated, but we're tracking a lot of lifts.
Yeah, we're trying to go through old stuff. We're trying to find stuff. So if with that being said, have a look at it and see if there's something there that should be filled in. If you're aware of something that should be filled in from any lifter that you know, or if it's yours or whoever, let me know so we can fix it. We really want it to be as thorough as possible. And now we have a newer lightweight one, which is very exciting, and then we have our very first heavyweight one in the 50s plus, which is very exciting.
For the Masters categories, we still track within weight classes. So if you're a Masters 50 plus U80, Masters 50 plus U90, even if you're going to, in actual competitions, be head-to-head, we just kind of wanted, we're having difficulties with past record keeping. So in case the sport continues to grow, there will likely be a point where Masters categories get their own weight classes.
That would be the ideal situation.
So we don't want to be left hanging if and when that happens, and then have to kind of try to figure out what all the weight class records would have been.
I mean, we've already added the Masters 50 plus this year for the first time, so we're seeing the growth that we want to see. So on to flight 3, where the heavier lifters typically were for this one.
So in this flight, our categories were the U105s, the Opens, and the Masters 40 plus, and the unknown. Simon.
Unknown.
He didn't give his category or his last name on the entry form.
He gave us the bare minimum.
Yeah, Simon Jansen, the mysterious man from Brickhouse.
He didn't say Jansen. So on the
I just know that
on the display for the graphics, he was Simon ?
Yeah, Simon, huh? And it says that on the live screen, the live stream too.
But let's not forget somebody else did that.
Yeah,
too.
Nate's was the best.
Oh my god!
Said,
did you hear this, Jan?
Yeah.
Name Nathan, and then if you scroll all the way to the end of it where it says email Paul. So the information was there. We just had to do a little bit of deciphering. So
information aside from the email.
Yeah, exactly. Except for that part. Luckily, I just see him around a lot. So we had some real standout lifts in this one, though. We had Evan Urowski came in and was hitting the cleanest split jerks with a log that I think maybe I've ever seen in person.
Yeah, I think he does suffer from that, it getting out in front of him.
Yeah.
He splits quite low with the log too, and I think that might be part of what causes that.
It might take a little retooling for him, but man, they were nice though. They
really look very pretty.
Yeah, they were very, very pretty.
He is going to be a threat on the big jerk if he signs up for MSM. I don't know,
which I really hope he does. I sure hope he does because
just to do that.
Well, I think that we've set up a Manitoba Strongest Man that doesn't necessarily require you to be in the open weight category to do it. I think that there's a lot of opportunities for light guys to really do some damage.
Grip, bigger guys often struggle with grip more than the smaller guys. The big jerk, if you're a more explosive athlete, you can be much lighter.
Yep. So we're looking for there's lots
I guess
more
the
to these.
squat goes against that. We talked about being bigger really helps with the squat.
But then we have Anna, who's a great squatter at a lighter weight class.
Yeah, and Pat.
And Pat.
Anyway, we already talked about MSM.
So love talking about Manitoba's strongest man and woman. So we had we did some big ones on this one too. So we had Ladanian came back, and for my other lift of the day, hit that 275. We made sure there was 5 more pounds on there because you pointed out that he'd already hit 270 before.
Yeah, that was already his PR.
Yeah, so we put 275 on, and he
Fought for his life.
yeah, like it was unbelievable. Bench pressed it up from a standing position, and like he was so lean back, and he got his head through, and it was a very, very awesome lift and a great reaction, and fun to see him. He's a pretty chill lifter usually, so it was fun to see him get one that was like fuck yeah, like he was psyched on it.
Yeah, and Lydian too. If anyone doesn't know, competed at nationals. What would that be? Less than 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
2 weeks, 2.5, or a week and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Earlier, and yeah, didn't touch the log. He was focused on nationals. He got back. He's focused on Keystone.
He's not a strongman competitor. He has no
No.
interest in doing strongman.
No, he actually hates the
He
training. for
really
strongman.
doesn't like strongman, which is it's like it's interesting. It's very rare that you have someone who's like tries it. I'm like, if you try it, you'll love it. And then someone tries it, it's like, no, I hate it. It's like, okay, well then you must really hate it then, because
Yeah.
like it's very rare that happens.
Him and
He-
Candace.
Yeah,
He does log because he thinks it's funny.
yeah, whatever that means to him. I'm not
Yeah,
really sure.
his training for the log comp was bringing a girl to the gym.
On a date,
and making her watch him lift the log. Yeah,
he
that's
was in
true.
a sweater vest.
Yeah, it was very cute. But that was a great lift. Scott with an awesome 305 too, which is a Masters 40 plus record.
Scott's was the lift of the day for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like, I mean, Martin's and Ladanian's definitely got the pop, and it was cool stories. But like, as far as just like, damn, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, 305. He's probably pressed a log. Like his sessions are probably in the neighborhood of 10 right now. I mean, we all know that Scott's a great presser. That's not like surprising or anything, but this isn't bench pressing. You know, it's so for him to be able to put that together was really awesome, and it really bodes well for the max log event at Western Canada's Strongest Master for him. I think that him and Denny Lebrecq are going to have a really good battle on that one, because Denny's a 300 log presser, and Scott's just over 300 now. So who knows where they can both be by the time that competition rolls up.
Yeah. Other good performances here. Jesse Morrison broke the 105
record. Yeah,
provincial record.
I put like a real number on there, because before it was like Pat.
280 that he did at U90, and then
Right.
he just never bothered weighing in for a 105.
Right. So because he like, you know, he came in, he did it here, he did it at the log competition. And that was like what 3 years ago he did that. So it's nice to have a little more of a better representation of where the 105 guys are at Manitoba right now.
Yeah. Also, Clint, his log has come a long way.
Yeah.
A 265 log at 105 is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Like,
No.
I don't remember what, because there was an ascending log at nationals last year.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he finished there, but
I don't think anybody did that well at that ascending log last year at nationals. It seemed like a lot of people
struggled.
didn't really do well with that one. So there wasn't like a lot of like mind blowing numbers on that one. Besides that, like the French Kevin guy, he did pretty well, but not as well as he
Not as well
does
as
either.
training.
So yeah.
But yeah, like, but I was surprised with the 265 log from Clint. I thought he did really good there.
Yep, sure did. Everybody, there's a bunch of other numbers, like say, like we look at like Nate, like he's coming off of like a bicep injury where like everything he's hitting now is post injury PRs. So it's that mental game of getting back into the swing of things, which is nice to see. And Jeremy hitting a PR, like he's going to be a real threat to our open division this season. I'm really looking forward to him, Manitoba Strongest Man this year.
Yeah.
Him, Langelar, and Dan are going to be really, really battling it out. And there could be somebody that I'm not aware of that comes out of nowhere too, but those three guys are really going to battle it out.
Yeah,
for that
I
top
also
position.
like a lot of our events. It's kind of ones where like the odd person who won't really be fighting for that podium, but they will be able to disrupt the podium.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like they'll just be sneaking in there and getting like Deloli getting
Deloli
like
with the
a
farmers.
top 3 on
Yeah.
the farmers, and having Evan and Jesse get top 5 on the big jerk.
Well, that's and you talk about Jesse's pressing here. You know, he's put 375 overhead with a barbell. You know,
Yeah.
so he's a guy where he could really be a threat at that big jerk to guys who would normally be pretty comfortably in that top position. He can come in there and really disrupt a little bit. So.
Yeah, we have him. Evan Jaworski has done 385.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that. That's sick.
He's put 385 overhead. Dan did like a long time ago, and his pressing has like exploded when he was training for OSG, but he did 385 as a push press.
Yeah.
No jerk. And then he did a session. Now he's in training with Terry.
Yeah.
His pressing exploded for OSG. Like once you get him back training on like the specific event, like I think he might start over 400.
So that's my next question for you then, just to go back to some Manitoba Strongest stuff here. And I don't mean
Can't
to
stop talking about it.
Yeah, I know, and I don't mean to not pay as much attention to the women's side, because the women's side is going to be awesome too. I just don't have a really clear idea of who's going to be signed up for that one yet. But for the men's side, how many guys do you think will go over 400 pounds on that one?
I think the podium in that event.
Yeah,
I think the top three,
yep.
will hit 400 or more. I'm sure like that we're gonna have 400 as kind of like a as a stepping stone in the progression. But yeah, I could see at most 5.
yeah, which is crazy. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, but I think Dan, Evan, Jesse are all capable. Dan for sure. I do think that he's the favorite in that event. Evan and Jesse would both be capable. I think Andrew does have experience with split jerks. I think actually on their most recent episode, he said that he had done 315, which does leave a long way to go, but he is a lot stronger.
Yeah, that's
now.
Yeah, that's the numbers he's hit in the past before. I'm sure that's when he had like a 225 log and stuff, probably.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
and then Jeremy too. Jeremy basically like jumped in with a nearly getting a 350 behind the neck jerk, and like the only thing was that he didn't dip low enough, or didn't get low enough in his split.
Yeah, and we also have a little bit of a secret weapon coming in to work with some of the guys that I coach. So we're really looking forward to that. But what do we have for time there, Jan?
We're at 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay, let's call it there then. So coming up real fast, we have on April 12th, registration will close this Saturday. I think this will probably be out by then, for the novice competition in Selkirk. If you want to register after that, you can. Hit me up. You just won't get a shirt. And the registration cost is still the same. So let me know if you're interested in getting in that one. We have a great number of signups for that one, but we can always use more. April, May. We have May 10th. We have Tolstoy, the first SCC qualifier, Battle at the Border 3. We've had a good registration for that one too, but we want more. We always want more. We want to start seeing something. Like we have a lot of people in different weight classes, and we want to start seeing more of those get a little bit filled up. We have June 7th. We have Western Canada's Strongest Master. We have, I think, 3 spots open on the men's side, and I think we have 6 spots open on the women's side. So if you're interested, get registered, get signed up. Allison Lockhart, I'm talking directly to you. We have Jose Morneau signed up for that one, which is super, super exciting. Like a literal strength pioneer legend of Canadian strength sports, in as far as I'm concerned. Jose Morneau, so I'm super excited for that. Repping the 60-plus category in Western Canada's Strongest Master. Fucking love it. June 29th, we have Manitoba Strongest Man and Woman and Vita as part of the Canada Day celebration there. July 12th, Strong Mania in Selkirk, the second of the 2 SCC qualifiers, which will qualify you for August 8th. Provincials, Winkler Harvest Fest, one of the meccas of Manitoba Strongman, the Winkler Harvest Festival. And then following that, on October 23rd, I believe it is, we will have an event that we will announce right here on this podcast next week.
When is Nationals?
I don't know if they've announced that one yet, but it'll probably be in October.
Okay.
And that's all we have for our stuff so far.
I'm going to add in, if you're interested in watching any of those events, all the live streams are already posted on the Strong Manitoba YouTube.
Shout out to Thrones.
Go to Strong Manitoba. There is you click live, not videos. They won't show up under videos. You click live, notify me on all the videos. Okay, then you'll get a notification when we go live. The only one that isn't on there is Tolstoy, because we are probably not going to have the internet to be able to live stream it. Right. So we will run the
competition.
Well, I was thinking like run the streaming stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know what to call it.
And just record it. I guess.
Just record it, and and then I'll post it like as soon as I get home, and it'll take probably like 2 hours to fully upload to YouTube. So
we are committed to you guys viewing the Manitoba Strongman experience in the best way possible. So we will take care of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give a tentative time. If you want to tune in to Tolstoy at the earliest time possible, I'm gonna say 7:30 to 8:30. It
You
should
gotta-
go live on YouTube.
This fucking
Right after dinner.
Assuming we finish at like 4.
yeah.
Then driving back to the city, uploading it. It should take I think 3.5 hours from when the competition's done.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Okay, love it. We hope you guys enjoyed this very MMA and very Manitoba-centric episode of the podcast, and we'll see you guys next week or something.
Or something. Bye.